Michael Neal, hello, sir. Say, I wanted to, number one, tinker a little bit more with Screencastify, and I wanted to take a moment to dig through therealmrneal.com and give you some feedback. Having tinkered with websites for a while, I think back in the day I would have appreciated somebody giving me some feedback, and so I'm going to take some liberties. Uh, but I hope overall you'll find it a pleasant experience. Hey, Michael Neal, I've really enjoyed working with you in this class, and I hope through email and otherwise, Twitter, whatever the case may be, I hope we get a chance to work together a little bit outside the confines of this online class. I'd really like to see where the real Mr. Neal goes as your website develops. Wanted to take just a quick look at the top 10 principles of effective web design. You're hitting the vast majority of these. First off, purpose, communication. Hitting both of those, you have a solid purpose for what you're doing. You've got specific classes in mind. Communication, you've got clear communication for your students. I think that it would also be helpful for parents and co-teachers, anyone else that you happen to work with. You've got points 1 and 2 down pat. Typefaces. I think that, as you can see, you go back to your website, your typefaces for your headings are sans serif, and that looks very clean, very nice. Your some of your titles here have a serif type font that I think, when used minimally, as you've done, does give your site a little flair. Notice here, Algebra 1 has a typeface that has the little serif flips on the end of the letters, but the actual font of your description of Algebra 1 does not. And I think it does it has a good play of both of them, uh, and keeps your site visually intriguing and yet clean and clear at the same time. Colors, well thought out color palette. I think that as you look at the background looking a little bit like a almost a parchment or a kind of a cool recycled paper effect, I think that does a very nice job. Also, as you go from one page to another, they're very similar, and I think that kind of congruency, that kind of purposeful redundancy across your website will keep the kids using your website in a very comfortable place. Images, I think that the image carousel here at the start of your homepage is very intriguing. I wonder if that's something you could change every once in a while, depending on what you're working on in class, and that would really keep the kids coming back. The navigation is clean and easy. Certainly, as you are cruising from one spot to another, here for your top navigational bar, I like that it's at the very top of the page. I like that as you hover over it, it has that effect of changing colors. It is a very easy and very useful navigational bar. Notice how that's congruent from one page to another. It's got some very solid basic navigational designs mastered very, very well. Your grid-based layout and your pattern F design layout, basically what those things are talking about is the how your web page is laid out. And I think that you've got a very solid layout with that. Certainly Wix helps with that, but it's well done. Load time, this page loads quickly. There's no issues with that. And it does, in terms of being mobile friendly, I did pull the site up on my phone, and it does work equally well in a mobile situation. It does require me to do just a little bit of zooming but I think the kids are so adept at that that really wouldn't be an issue. Also, if this is on an iPad, that's going to work very, very well on an iPad. It'll be solid. Some things that I might suggest, if I could be so bold. Every web page is always under construction, and as you get going, as you push this out to students and parents and other teachers, I might suggest pulling the under construction sign, even on those places where there is heavy construction going on. Every website is constantly under construction. My next suggestion, I think, take a look at it, tinker with it, see what you think. The Somewhere on here you need to have the real Mr. Neal, which you have up at the top here. But notice what that's doing to your Algebra 1, Algebra 2 honors physics down here. It's pushing it down to the bottom. I'm wondering if we could make this really cool slideshow of images and the real Mr. Neal kind of a dual focus at the top of your website. Could Mr. Neal, math and physics teacher, pirate robotics coach, could that stuff go here? Could that stuff go here? The click on a class for extra resources is pretty intuitive, and most kids are going to figure that out very quickly. This seems to be almost a wasted great space on your website. Could Mr. Neal, or the real Mr. Neal, however you want to put it, come down here, and then could you save all of this space up here, the Mr. Neal heading that you have now could be saved, and bring up some of these grids that are currently pushed down to the bottom of the page when you first bring it up. Just an idea. Tinker with it, see what it looks like. Other than that, I absolutely love that you've got your Facebook and your Twitter things down here. You've got a little bio. There's really no other hints or tips that I could give to say, hey, this really needs to be fixed. You've got a really great layout going for you. The one thing I did notice, as you are cruising from one algebra resource to another, cruising from one physics resource to another, it does. So let's go down to honors physics resources. Let's go to momentum. That scrolling, especially as these individual sections grow, that scrolling might become a little bit, might be a little bit visually taxing. Could there be a way, instead of clicking on momentum and rolling through and scrolling to it, could that just pop to it? There's an effect. There's a web page effect there that perhaps could be tinkered with in the control settings somewhere in Wix to make that more of a pop immediately rather than a scroll. Because as you get 10 or 12 links for each one of these individual sections, the things like current topics are going to be so far down, it's going to take a while for that navigational system to scroll down to that thing. And that might be visually challenging. Those are my suggestions. I'm thankful for your opportunity to let me throw them out to you, and certainly hope we get a chance to stay in touch. I look forward to how you tackle your classes with this new resource.